That is right. Today we are ranking every single Mega Pokemon introduced from the inception of the gimmick in 2013 with Pokemon X and Y all the way through Mega Zygarde in Pokemon Legends EA. That's right. I finished the game. Therefore, I have now officially seen and spent time with every single Mega Pokemon that has been accessible in one form or another in the franchise. So before Mega Dimensions kicks off next month, I feel like we are at a good definitive stopping point where I can make this definitive tier list on the basis of design. That is the thing. I think a lot of people have ranked competitive viability. I'm not the guy to do that. It's not something I really care about with Pokemon. My foremost passion is Pokemon design. How do they look? How do they make me feel? Okay, so let's just get into it. How about we do that? Number one is going to be Mega Venusaur, the first Mega. I think one of the first that we actually ever saw, because I think the gimmick was introduced in a trailer in X and Y with the 3 Kanto starters. It's a good example of what I think Megas were originally supposed to do. Just exaggerate pre-existing features that the Pokemon already had. In this case, just like doubling the number of leaves, elevating and expanding the flower mushroom thing. I guess it's a flower on its back a little bit, and just adding a little more detail and texture to the body. In that sense, making it kind of look like a Paradox Pokemon, just like a little more prehistoric and feral looking. And I think, yeah, I mean, this is why we're doing the tier list now, because I think the standards of design have changed. You know, I think we want a little more from the Mega. I think we either want kind of a funny inversion of the concept, or like expanding a subtle detail of the concept, like a secondary or tertiary thing, rather than just like taking what was already the most iconic and memorable part of the design and just visually cranking it up. I think it's either high C or low B. So either like low pretty solid or high neutral. Okay, I'm in B because I think it's like, again, it's like what I said. I don't have much to say about it. It's really just like the concept of Venusaur just made a little more hardcore, but it looks good. I mean, like, seriously, I don't have anything bad to say about it. It really doesn't excite me. It's really just kind of like a neutral Mega. It's similar to the Kanto starters. It's just kind of like it introduced the concepts, but doesn't go crazy with them. And, you know, I can respect that. All right, so we're going to go high neutral for this one. All right, Mega Charizard, I think this is X, right? I always confuse them. That is part Dragon type. So that's cool. The first type change Mega. Not an expectation of this gimmick per se, but definitely welcome every time they do it. I mean, similar to Charizard, it is overrated. It's like a little elevated compared to what Venusaur did, where instead of just like cranking up the detail of the wings or like the flame on its tail, it adds flames to its mouth and it makes the wing shape totally different. And of course it changes colors, which I think harkens back. I think it was intentionally supposed to harken back to its shiny, which I think is pretty cool because that shiny is pretty iconic. So I think for that reason, I would say it's like low, gorgeous, and inspired. I like it a lot. I mean, I think there's going to be stuff that comes above it, but for now, I think it's pretty cool. All right, so Mega Charizard Y, its counterpart, is more in the Venusaur camp, where it literally, it's like the textbook example, actually, of a Mega just expanding the pre-existing physical features. I mean, if you look at it, it's like literally like its flame tail is just like a length and a half longer. Its wings just look a little kind of like choppier and like, I guess, more draconic. So it's just like it elevates the fantasy of Charizard a little more, whereas regular Charizard, just like a lizard with a flame for a tail and wings kind of tacked on. To be honest, I find base Charizard's design a little clunky, but that's, you know, conversation for another day. This one refines it. I think it smooths out, it literally smooths out Charizard. It like gets rid of its beer belly. It's very smooth and fluid. I love the way its like torso just kind of fluidly turns into its longer tail. Its wings and arms, it has like these little fins on its wings. It looks muscular. It looks detailed. It's very mesmerizing to look at. Like what it lacks in an inspired concept, I really think it's just gorgeous. I think it gets the regality of Mega designs nailed, whereas a lot of the other ones can look clunky and over-designed and just tack on stuff. Like, we'll get to it later, but like Pokemon like Garchomp are already very detailed, and I find the Mega a little overwhelming for that reason. But again, I think at its best, the Mega concept can be used to refine clunky designs. Again, we're talking purely from a visual standpoint today, and I think this one elevates Charizard. It really does. So I'm going to go low on this, but I'm going to say gorgeous and inspired. Again, a lot of stuff is going to come above it. Its X variant is better for all the reasons I talked about. It really is just one of the most physically captivating megas, I would say. Very simple, but captivating. Blastoise, of course. All right, so Blastoise, I think, is the clunkiest out of the three. It's inspired in the sense that it goes full cannon rather than like what I said for Charizard. I think Gen 1 designs were a little clunky at times. You know, it's like just a normal turtle, essentially, with these very mechanical looking cannons coming out of its shell, something Pokemon would never do today. Even back in X and Y, that was way below the design standards of the franchise, if that makes sense. So this one kind of like legitimizes the concept a little more, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, well, if it has these weird artificial looking cannons tacked on to its shell, let's just lean into the artificiality of it and like make it look like a full tank. And the more I look at it, I really appreciate how much its body shape changes. It's hunched over, its shell really does look like a tank. Like, it's not just the cannons got bigger, its body really changes shape to accommodate it. And it looks very natural. It looks like it's muscular enough to like support the weight of the cannon. They changed the color for Charizard. So I wish they changed the color for this guy too, because at the end of the day, the cannon still looks kind of tacked on and incongruous with the more natural shell and body color. I am going to go high C on this guy. I just don't like him very much. I'm sorry. Let's get into Mega Beedrill. This one, I think, is an example of the just kind of like hardcore side of Megas done right. I mean, again, I have my gripes with the concept with a lot of Pokemon, like, again, Garchomp and Sharpedo, that are already very intense and at times intricately designed, just getting a little overwhelming. But I think Beedrill, base Beedrill, is a very simple design. It's meant to be imposing, but it's Route 1 bug, so at the end of the day, it's a very frail and small Pokemon, and this Mega design appropriately beefs it up. It really feels like, in an ideal world, this is what the Mega Evolution concept was meant for. Not making hardcore Pokemon even more hardcore, but making just middle-of-the-road Pokemon a little elevated. Showing that every single Pokemon has some capacity for growth. I like when Megas, again, take like a secondary aspect of the design. Like, it's hard to get excited about stuff like Venusaur where it just makes the flower bigger. Because it's like, well, the flower is already the core part of the design in the base form. But with Beedrill, to be honest, it's a bee. It's supposed to sting, or a wasp, or a hornet, or whatever you want to call it. But if you look at the base design, you know, the bee stinger is on the animal, is not that pronounced, and it's not that cool. Like, you don't look at Beedrill and you're like, oh, that has a really big stinger. It's kind of an afterthought. So for this one, I really like that makes that a central focus of the design. It's leaning forward with its stinger. Its stinger is huge, like full-on needle now. And again, just like the hardcore features of the design really just kind of like reinforce like a sense of danger around it. It's very alluring in that way. It's like, you know, it's very rewarding to Mega Evolve this one because it really feels like a necessary transformation, finally giving some kind of respect to what the design needed. So I am going to, put this at the high end of pretty solid. You know, I'm not going to say it's the coolest thing in the world, but it's pretty cool. It's exactly what Beedrill needed. All right, Pidgeot, one that I've always found very alluring in a similar way to Charizard. Charizard Y, that is, where I can't say there's a lot concept behind it, but it's it really refines the body, and it's less exciting to me than Charizard Y because I don't think Pidgeot needed it. I've always found Pidgeot to be a very handsome Pokemon. I think Pidgeot looks very frail in the way that like birds usually do. Like, even when they are imposing birds of prey, they're still skinny. They're still, you know, they have kind of thin wings. It's just birds have delicate features. That's just how they're built. But this one beefs it up. Like, it has a huge chest, these massive wings. Unlike Beedrill, I don't think there is like a deficit in the base design. Like Charizard, I feel like this one just looks just very refined, very elegant. And I like the colors. I know base Pidgeot has the colors, but I feel like this one adds a little bit more pop of color, but it's very restrained. You know, it doesn't go overboard. It doesn't oversaturate it. It's just like pops of color where necessary. It has this golden crown feather plumage thing. It inspires the same feeling that Braviary does. It's very majestic. So, but it's also like, this is what megas were made for. It's what I just said. I like it when underappreciated Pokemon get megas. I feel like that's what the gimmick is made for. I'm gonna go with the low end, pretty solid. I like it. So the next one up is the first ZA entry then, Mega Clefable. I think you can really see the design philosophy shift from the hardcore and over-designed, I guess, megas of X and Y to ZA going more conceptual with them and making sure that they elevating secondary aspects of the design, not just like cranking up the physical features that were already there. Wings were not ever really a part of Clefable's design physically for its base form. It had tiny little wings on its back, but that was not at all the focus of its design. However, it was a core part of its concept. You know, it's a fairy, it's an alien, so of course it kind of needs wings to fly around and, you know, be almost angelic in a way. So it's like, this is the design philosophy shift of the new batch of megas, where they are always more, you know, less concerned with making hardcore Pokemon even more hardcore. So it's definitely more inspired. Does it look good though in execution? There's something about it that rubs me the wrong way, and I don't know what it is. I feel like if the focus was just on the wings, I would like it a little more. I think the weird beret hat just doesn't look great. I don't know what they were going for. Maybe that's what they were going for, making it look like a beret, kind of a cute little hat. But it definitely has like the Generation 9 design philosophy in general, where it's meant to be very cute, very round, very simplified in a way. Yeah, for some reason, I don't like it very much. It's not that it's too cute. I don't think that's inherently bad that it's cute. I think it's just like, it's trying to be cute and it doesn't really look like that. Maybe it's the eyes. Maybe the eyes kind of creep me out. I don't know. Like, I wish it had darker colored eyes. I think like they just added one too many things, trying to make it ultra cutesy. And they really only, you know, just had to have confidence in just the wings, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to say it's our first not great. I don't love it. On to Mega Alakazam. This one is another example of expanding a core part of the concept that wasn't necessarily there in the base design, or at least wasn't the focus of the base design. Weirdly, Alakazam is a relic of like early Pokemon in that it doesn't really have a core part of its design. It just kind of is what it is. Like, it's like a weird goat fox hybrid thing with muted colors and just a lot of different features that are all represented very equally. Like, it has spoons, it has this wispy little mustache, it has claws, but nothing is like the focus. You don't really have like a takeaway with Alakazam's design, to be honest. It's just, you know, I don't think it's aged particularly well, and not at all up to the design standards of modern Pokemon. And I think Mega Alakazam fixes that. It's you know, leaning into two smaller, again, neutrally represented features of the base design. In this case, the wispy little mustache that it has, turning it now into a full beard, and then spoons. Now it has like this arc of spoons over its head. I feel like, I always say, the silhouette of a Pokemon is very important. And I love this one. I just think it has a lot of confidence behind it creatively, that they made this guy permanently sitting, that they have the spoons arranged in this neat little arc over its head, and that it's symmetrical. Very few Pokemon are depicted in a symmetrical way like this. So this one's just very striking. I mean, the only thing really is like the beard is a little too on the nose. I wish it wasn't a real beard. I wish they made it the color of its original beard, like this golden kind of color. I don't think they needed to add this pop of color to make it look like a human beard. It looks a little too humanoid for my taste. But again, I think it's pretty solid. I like Beedrill more, but I like it more than Pidgeot, so I'm going to put it right in the middle of pretty solid. Victory Bell, one of the more memorable newer megas that we saw early on in the hype cycle for ZA. Yeah, and just like Clefable, leans into something a little more round and goofy rather than hardcore. However, I think this actually has a great balance because it does look kind of hardcore. It has this like poisonous looking like leaf hair, just kind of adding this jagged element to it. When I think Mega, I always think, again, similar to the Scarlet Paradox Pokemon, just kind of like rugged and feral looking, like add some fur, add some spikes, like just kind of, you know, have fun with the hardcore nature of it, and I think the leaf does that. It kind of signifies danger and makes it look a little wild. I like that it's balancing that hardcoreness with goofiness and roundness and in some ways cuteness. Like, I like, obviously, just like the picture body that it bounces around on, full of its toxic juice or whatever. However, I think they went a little too far with the goofiness. I think a lot of people feel very off-put by its mouth. It has like this big pursed lips thing going on. They could have sold the goofiness of the round, bouncy body if they kept its original mouth, kind of more agape look with fangs, which I think is very core to Victory Bell, and I don't think needed to be changed. The great thing about Megas is enhancing what we already love about Pokemon designs and not necessarily completely switching them up. I think that can be reserved for regional forms or something like that. You know, I don't really even need to dive too deep into it. I think at the end of the day, if something looks kind of off-putting and unpleasant and uncanny, like it just looks like it has these big fat lips. And I think a lot of people are kind of turned off by that. I am too. I don't really think it looks great. Again, I think they got a little too zealous with goofiness. So I'm gonna say it's a little too cutesy for my taste. So I'm gonna say it's the high end of not great. All right, Slowbro. All right, so we're gonna get into this more with Starmie. The interesting thing about Pokemon designs in general is that you can have a stupid concept, but great execution. And conversely, you can have a stupid concept, but stupid execution, if that makes sense. It was very striking when this came out on ORAS because it seriously, I'm looking at the list and it really feels like the only Mega of that time that was expressly goofy. Like seriously, every like sharp or kind of hardcore feature of this thing was already there with the base design. Its shell is already spiky and gray and kind of rugged looking. So this one is very striking. What was very striking at the time for just being goofy. And I love the confidence of that. I love that they made one single Mega where they're like, well, it's already a dopey Pokemon. What if we just, again, the great thing about Megas is they just ratchet up what we already know and love about the Pokemon. So a goofy Pokemon like Slowbro, it makes sense they just made it more goofy. And again, it has a dumb concept. It's really just, what if we made it spin on its top like a tail? Does it have anything to do with the concept? No. Well, newsflash, it's Slowbro. It doesn't really have a concept. It's literally just a stupid salamander thing. I think it's a salamander, otter, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know what it is. It's a dumb Gen 1 Pokemon. So give it a dumb design. It's really just brain rot. And I can really respect that because it looks good. It looks just like physically very sound. Like you can tell what it's supposed to do. It's spinning on its top like a tail. So yeah, again, goofy concept, great execution. So I'm gonna say, the thing is, it's not gorgeous or inspired, but it's like very high end and pretty solid. I think everyone kind of agrees this one just is fun. It's an entertaining concept, and what else do you want beyond entertainment? All right, next up is Mega Gengar. One that I really enjoy purely because I really like Gengar as a Pokemon. It's probably my favorite Generation 1 Pokemon. I think this one is very interesting because similar to Slowbro, in my mind at least, it feels very unique visually. It's not super hardcore, but I think it would be hard to make Gengar kind of hardcore. It is, at the end of the day, kind of a round, simple, almost cute Pokemon. You know, they add some spikes here, but it still doesn't read as like over-designed or feral to me. It really feels, I don't know, in the same way as like Pidgeot or Charizard, elegant. Like it's not necessarily feral and dangerous, but more so godlike. Like I like the very prominent like ring on its face. I don't know, to me at least, it's always looked kind of like the way it's like crouched and has like these red tips on the bottom of its body. It almost looks like it's like coming out of like a portal or something. It looks very like, it looks like a genie that's like materializing. It just has a very interesting body, completely changing the body shape of the Pokemon in a way that honestly not a lot of other Pokemon do. If the Pokemon is already upright, the Mega stays upright, kind of hunched over like a gorilla. Or again, to me, it looks like it's coming out of like a portal, like coming out of the floor and rising up. I feel like it's just very pretty. I love the pop of color. It's very restrained. There's a lot of focus there. You know, it keeps basically the same color as base Gengar. All it does, change the body, add a great shade of red. I love that shade of red. It's so pretty. And then gives it this kind of ring on its forehead to really cement this like godlike So to me, it's just great. So I'm going to say Mega Gengar is the low end of gorgeous. Starmie! This is a point of debate for many about direction of Mega Pokemon in general. I feel like this had the most people talking out of anything from ZA, really. It was just, they really were trying to manufacture the meme-like status they had with Slowbro. They were like, hey, remember that one stupid concept with great execution we had 12 years ago? Well, let's run it back and have another stupid concept. I don't know. It's what I said about Slowbro, which was a stupid concept but great execution. I feel like this is a stupid concept with stupid execution. This one really annoys me. I think there were other ways to literally do the exact same simple concept, but make it look better. You could have extended its limbs the way the limbs already looked. I think a lot of people like that this Pokemon looks kind of prismatic almost. Its limbs are very triangular and sharp with these ridges on them, and they're straight. It's just like a star. Each end points out in a straight shape. It can't really flex its limbs like that. This one stretches its limbs, but completely changes like the look and feel of them. It literally just turns them into human legs, or humanoid legs at least, with this articulation on the knee. It looks very incongruous with the rest of the design. I would have much preferred if they stuck to the exact same stupid concepts. I welcome stupid, goofy megas. I really do. If they gave it like chopstick legs, you know, took these straight-edged limbs of the original Pokemon and just created 2 more longer ones. It's like such a small change that I think would have made this thing visually look so much better. Again, stupid concepts can be great, but poor execution is poor execution. So yeah, I'm going to say this one is a flop. I really just don't think it landed. Next up is Pinsir. This one is perhaps one of the biggest examples of a hardcore mega. It literally takes every single feature that Pinsir has. I'm not even exaggerating. Every single feature. It's like horns, makes them bigger, adds more spikes, makes those spikes on it bigger. Its teeth, it already had a lot of teeth. Most Pokemon don't have that much detail in one body feature. That's just not really Pokemon's design philosophy. It was already busy in the base form, and they somehow expanded on it here, gave it even more teeth and made it more pronounced. Made its eyes this glowing gold color. And on top of that, added wings. Like, that's crazy. This one, more than I seriously think any other mega, adds more detail almost for the sake of it. The only thing with the concept behind it is the wings. Obviously gives it the flying type, turns it into a real evolved beetle, which I can appreciate because, again, I like that sense of like not just making a Pokemon more hardcore for the sake of it, but really the gimmick is called Mega Evolution. So you want to feel like there's some kind of progression to the Pokemon, either the next step in what it's biologically capable of, physically or intelligence-wise. And this one definitely feels like, yeah, its base form is based off of an insect, and it doesn't quite reach this status of being able to fly, but this one does. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that, again, that is balanced out for me, the satisfaction of seeing it finally get wings, by just how overwhelming it is. I already touched on all the millions of details on this thing, and it's too much for me. It's a small Pokemon to begin with, and this is just way too busy to look at. Even the wings are really busy and over-designed. They didn't need 3 or 4 colors on that thing. 2 sets of wings. I don't even know what's going on there. It's way too much for me, but I don't hate it. I really think it balances out. I'm gonna go high end of not great for this guy. I don't know. Let's move on to Kangaskhan. I mean, this one, probably one of the most obvious megas. I feel like for all of them, if you blindfolded someone that was familiar with the base Pokemon but had never seen the mega and had them guess what the mega is based on, you would get a different answer for basically every mega. But this one it's like there's only one answer of what you could do with Kangaskhan, and that's bring out the kid. So it's very unique in that way because no other Pokemon has a baby like that. And again, that's the flimsy logic of Gen 1. I like that it is kind of an overlooked Pokemon in general. It's a normal type from Gen 1. Yeah, the thing is, it just doesn't change enough. Like, it's just not surprising in any way. You know, it's exactly what you would expect conceptually, and then nothing really happens beyond that. The baby comes out, and like this one to me is neutral because really it's just like the single least surprising Mega of all time. Same with Venusaur. I think it's better than Venusaur. I like Blastoise more though. I'm going to put it between these two. Gyarados is another one that I find just very fascinating in the same way that I'm fascinated by Gengar, because it changes the body shape. I mean, not really, it's still serpentine. It's not like it sprouts limbs or something like that, but it's a little surprising to me because to me, it looks almost more like shrimp-like now. It's less serpentine. It has this bulky front section of its body. It's very top heavy, and I find that very alluring. Like, for some reason, I just really enjoy when designs change the body shape of the Pokemon, and I think this one actually comes with a concept and celebrates the entire evolution line. And we'll touch more on that when we get to Dragonite. I think that is an unspoken part of Megas. They're leaning more into expressly now, but I think is core to the concept and always has been. Like this sense of like, it brings out the latent energy from the entire evolution line. It's not just a continuation of the final form, but it's a expansion of the whole line based off of everything that came before. So what I mean by that here is its fat shape. Yes, it looks like a shrimp, but it also kind of looks like a koi fish, which its pre-evolution Magikarp is based on. So instead of being serpentine, it's more fish-like. And obviously these red spots are Magikarp's colors. So it brings in a pop of color, not just for the sake of detail, with purpose. Everything here is with purpose. It both looks really good and is inspired. That is textbook gorgeous and inspired. In my opinion, at least, it's pretty cool. All right, we're gonna move on to Aerodactyl. This one is interesting because the lore of this guy even says looks more like what it did in the wild back in the day when it was not extinct, but it's more rocky. And we know that fossil Pokemon are more rocky because of the revival process. They weren't rock types to begin with. So that's a little confusing. Is that implying that Aerodactyl actually was meant to be a rock type all along? I don't know. The lore of this one is a little confusing. Again, kind of feels like a paradox Pokemon in that way. Is meant to look prehistoric and hardcore. It's like it literally has rocks on its face. Like it looks like it's supposed to live in a cave. I think it's a little unpleasant looking. I mean, for one, I don't really love the base design. I don't know, there's something about its like snout and just kind of fat face that I think looks not as attractive as it could be. You know, I feel like it's an example of a Pokemon that if it was designed now would just look way better. Versus back then, they just kind of made it look vaguely draconic, and this like just doesn't refine any of those features. It doesn't, again, it's not like either of the Charizards. It doesn't get more attractive. It actually just adds more clunkiness and unpleasantness. It you know, just it looks less aerodynamic, and it makes its chin look just kind of gross, just this weird goatee thing coming out of it. I think there were better ways to do rocks on its body. Like you could have made it look more armor-like something. It just looks like it has random rocks growing on it. It doesn't add any of the amber. It's the only fossil that doesn't come out of a rock. It comes out of amber. A huge miss in terms of that. It's just like, oh, this is an old Pokemon, so we have to lean into rocks because rocks are prehistoric. Not what made its base concept special was the fact that it was like made out of amber. This could have looked so much more regal. Like I always think of pterodactyls as kind of regal. They can fly. They should look cool. They should look sleek. They should look exciting. This one just adds more dull colors and clunky features, and again misses on adding amber. How cool would it have been? So I'm gonna say not great. I think I like it more than Pinsir. I just think it's not great. We got Dragonite. Alright, so this goes back to what I was saying about Gyarados, where it celebrates the entire history of the evolution line. Is, yes, expanding Dragonite. It retains Dragonite's colors and overall body shape, but it adds a longer serpentine tail and the orb kind of thing that Dragonair and Dratini had. And it adds these angelic wings sprouting from the top of its head. Again, similar to Gyarados, I like that it celebrates the entire evolution line. I think that's what all Megas should try to do. I think there is an example to be said with a great concept, but again, poor execution, similar to Starmie. If something looks clunky, it's clunky. Yeah, it looks disproportionate. It looks like, you know, again, I can respect and appreciate that it adds features of its predecessors, but they feel tacked on. Like it feels like the wings on the head. I appreciate how unique they look. It looks weird. I wish if they wanted to celebrate Dragonair more, made the entire body more serpentine. Why is it just the tail and then it has the chubby upright body of Dragonite still? It feels like they are adding elegant features, but they don't come together in a way that makes the final product more elegant. Yeah, so it's not super generic. I can respect it for that, but I'm gonna say the high end of not great, because I don't find it super unpleasant, but I definitely think it was a missed opportunity. I wish they did something more like Gyarados, where Gyarados went from something serpentine going to more bulky. I wish Dragonite did the opposite, going from something more bulky to something more serpentine. But it didn't do that, so not great. Another pair, Mewtwo, X and Y. Why Mewtwo got 2 megas? I don't really know. I don't know. It's hard to judge them separately. I feel like you almost have to judge these guys as a pair. I enjoy that kind of represent like Brain versus Brawn is what I think they were going for conceptually. Like this idea that Mewtwo is an artificial Pokemon that is imbued with, you know, intelligence, both within the games and external media like the movies. There is this philosophical question behind Mewtwo of like, it's a Pokemon imbued with the power of, or the intelligence of humans. Will it use that intelligence for good, or is it evil? And what does that say about us? If we're making it in our image, will it be good or evil? Because I feel like that says whether we as humans are good or evil. So I really respect that kind of concept. I really enjoy that, you know, Mewtwo in its megas is exemplifying this conflict of like, just being aggressive and fighting or using intelligence. I think X is a little less exciting. Mewtwo already had a lot of clunky Gen 1 features, just weird bulges on its body, and this, whereas Y goes the opposite, like shrinks the body, makes it float, and has all the weight in its head. Classic sci-fi trope of like an enlarged brain to represent super intelligence. And it's very sleek design, feels very cosmic in that way with like the swooping tail. And also represents Mew in that way, harkens back to its, you know, similar to Gyarados and I guess Dragonite, referencing the entire evolution line, because as we know, Mewtwo was created from the DNA of Mew. Again, I'm talking about them together because I feel like it's hard to judge them separately. I think the more I look at them and think about them, they really work as a pair. They lean into, again, aggressiveness versus intelligence, and both look equally imposing in their own ways. And I think they both nail what they're going for in terms of either adding details in the case of X or simplifying them, streamlining it in the sake of Y. I'm gonna go high end of pretty solid. I really like both of these. I think I like Y a lot more, but I think they're both pretty good. I have a little cat who's gonna hang out with us. So let's get right back into it with Generation 2. So first, Meganium. This is the starter that I picked in ZA. Yeah, once again, a mega that would not have been created in the X and Y days. I feel like back then they would have made this guy, like turn its flower toxic and make it spikier and give it like scars on its body and an angry eye to look more hardcore. But this is a modern mega and therefore has the license to be like, hey, this was already a cute and pretty simple Pokemon. Let's just make it simple and cute, because it already is. In that, kind of leaves me feeling empty because it has the same problem as Venusaur, where it really just like literally copy pastes the number of flowers around its neck that were already there, and nothing else. Does not change the color or the shape of its body, not even its antenna on the head. It just kind of physically adds to the already prominent design feature of the base form. So because of that, I find it a wee bit underwhelming because I'm very just not surprised by what it's doing. It doesn't inspire any new feelings or expand on anything that Meganium was already doing. It's like, it's not doing anything to win over. Like, if you didn't like base Meganium, you're not gonna like the Mega. And I think that's kind of a shame. I think there really was an opportunity here to, I'm not saying I wanted it to be more hardcore. I love that it's cute and pleasant looking, but there was a way to do that in a smarter way than just adding the number of flowers around its neck. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say I'm purely neutral on this one. It's like Kangaskhan. It's like not surprising at all, and because of that, kind of not that interesting. For Alligator is another very controversial one. If you look at its static artwork, like what you see here, you would have a lot of trouble telling what the hell is going on. It looks very clunky. It just looks like this weird dorsal fin. Again, not at all aerodynamic in the slightest. The concept is very inspired, or at least interesting, in that I love in Megas where it harkens back to the entire evolution line. It is meant to look like Totodile's face. It's meant to look like a giant snapping jaw. And I can definitely respect that. I always love when Megas make the effort to pay tribute to the entire evolution line. However, I mean, at least a few of these that we've talked about, there is potential for a great concept but poor execution, and I think this definitely falls into that category because it's static artwork and static model. Frankly, it walks around like this. It's only when it attacks that it snaps into that jaw formation. So its kind of default look is very clunky and too abstract. You can't tell what the hell's going on. Yeah, it's cool for like the 5 seconds that the jaw snaps into place, but I think I would have much preferred this if that was its default pose. If it was more hunched over, kind of feral looking, and the dorsal fin top jaw was always like hunched over it like a hood almost, and its face, its actual head, was in the middle of the jaw, almost to look like the tongue, if that makes sense. And then you would have a permanently protruded bottom jaw, because as it stands, where the heck is the bottom jaw? You don't know. Like, it's not in this artwork. It literally comes out of thin air. Great concept, but the way it looks by default just does not do it justice at all. This is the one that I most want to take a stab at redesigning myself at some point, or just see a talented artist to redesign. So unfortunately, I have to say it's a flop because I really, really, really want to like it. It's not great at all. Next up is Ampharos. Yeah, again, kind of harkens back to the entire evolution line in a sense because it just re-adds the fur that slowly got shaved away, but this time it's in a more jagged formation, I guess. It's sharper looking, it looks like hair, but it's meant to look like the mane of like a lion or a dragon. It's supposed to suggest regality. So yeah, I mean, obviously I think this one is not surprising at all. It's like, this is another one where you could blindfold someone and like guess what they did to Mega Ampharos, and they're like, oh, well, it adds back the wool, because like, what else would you do? Part of me doesn't love it as much as I want to. I think it's very much like, it feels a little tacked on just because the body doesn't change at all. Like, again, I'm a sucker for megas that change the body shape a little bit, have the confidence to do that, you know, get bulkier like Swampert or Aggron or Gyarados. This one is literally just base Ampharos with hair tacked on. And I think there's ways to tack stuff on and have it look clunky and out of place, like Aerodactyl, but there's ways to do it where it still looks pleasant here. It looks pleasant, it's just not the most intelligent or exciting thing. So I think it's pretty solid. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's like the most gorgeous thing in the world. I think it looks great. I think it's below the Mewtwo's, honestly even below Slowbro, but I like it more than Beedrill. I think it looks very pleasant. It's like, it's a great mega that looks regal without looking mean. Like, unlike Beedrill and even Alakazam, I can actually relate to this guy. I can't relate to him. I don't know what it's like to be an Ampharos, but I can like bond with him. You know, he's still cute. He's still, you want to be this guy's trainer. It's not just like a mean feral mega. It adds imposingness without it. You know, it stays true to where the Ampharos is, and I can respect that. Steelix. Steelix is one that I've always loved. It feels like this one is very dynamic looking. I like its static artwork. I like the stuff floating around it. And the crystals just look gorgeous. I love that it adds another type of mineral, so it's not just made of steel. I think there are other ones that are kind of monochromatic and look boring for that reason. But this one just like is a treat to look at. I think it's just beautiful. It takes kind of a grotesque looking Pokemon. I always thought Steelix was kind of ugly and, you know, meant to be that way, meant to be kind of bulky and rugged, but it feels like it's just regal, like it's surging with the energy of Mega Evolution. It's the one that to me most feels like I can tell that this guy is imbued with power that makes it go beyond its normal capabilities, with the exclusion of like obviously the primal designs. Rayquaza do that even better, but they're legendary Pokemon. The power stored in Mega Stones, minerals, rocks. So it makes sense that for one of the most mineral-based Pokemon, they would like add, like literally, it's like a physical, it's like a living Megastone to me. It just feels like the most true to the concept. It feels like it adds so much, but it's all so deserved and all so well executed. Definitely gorgeous and inspired. We're still reserving that mythical peak for something, and I hope we find it. If not, we'll have to revise it later, but for now, it's pretty awesome. I'm gonna put it right below the 2 Charizards. It's gorgeous. It really is. All right, next up is Scizor. I don't know, I feel like I'm just neutral on this guy. This is another one, almost like Meganium, where it really doesn't add anything. It seriously doesn't give me anything that base Scizor doesn't already have. It keeps the exact same colors. I mean, brings in a little bit of steel gray, but I mean, that's such a neutral color, it doesn't really count. But it really keeps the exact same body shape of the previous one, just kind of like takes the most prominent elements of the other one, its claws, and just makes them a little more jagged. And I guess, yeah, makes them scissors. It's fitting for its name. turns from pincers to scissors. I don't know, to me feels like the high end of neutral. I think it's very well done for what it is. It's just not the most exciting thing in the world. I think there was an opportunity to go even further with it, and I think if it was made today, they would. Kind of like Excadrill, which we'll get into later. Like, it feels just a little subdued to me. It's not any cooler than regular Scizor. It's just like a different kind of cool. So yeah, for that reason, I'm just going to put it in the high end of neutral. I think it's, to me, it's like right below Blastoise, because at least Blastoise changes the tank shape a little bit to be more tanky. This one just doesn't really expand the scissors all that much. So it's just perfectly neutral to me. All right, Heracross. To me, Heracross, I get what they were going for. It's based off of a rhino beetle. So what they do, previously Heracross just has its rhino horn thing sprouting out of the top of its head. This one keeps that, turns it into a spear shape, and then adds another one as its actual like rhino horn in the front of its face. That's what I love about Megas, is when they are used not to just make what was already there cooler. There is a world where they make a Mega Heracross where they just keep the one thing on the top of its head and then just add spikes to it, just make it boring and superfluous detail for the sake of it. But this one actually does the right thing in my mind and like leans into its actual concept, gives it a front-facing rhino horn. So that's what I like about it. I think what I don't like about it is then it goes too far in ways that it didn't need to, instead of a focus that I actually wish was there. What I mean by that is I don't like all the detail that's added to it. It has this weird kind of like orange thing on the top of its, or in the dip of its head between the two horns that I don't really get. It looks like a toupee to me. It keeps that same orange color as like ridged piping for its different body segments. Increases the segmentation. I get it's an insect Pokemon. They always like add, you know, segmentation to its body to delineate it from like a mammalian Pokemon, but I think it goes too much. It's like, it has the same problem as Mega Heracross, or sorry, Mega Pinsir to me, where it like just goes overboard with like random details just for the sake of it to like really sell how hardcore it is. But in my mind, they didn't need to, because the horns just look really good. I don't know, again, I'm a sucker for Megas that change body plan, especially when it reinforces the concept. Like, I like that Mega Blastoise is hunched over to support the newfound weight of its expanded cannon. To me, it makes zero sense that this Heracross exactly the same as base Heracross in terms of body. It's just like an upright humanoid bug kind of thing. I would have much preferred this thing if it kind of was like hunched over, like its front limbs get a little bulkier, as you can see, but they're like raised above its head and standing upright. I would have loved instead if it was like hunched over like a gorilla, you know what I mean? Like standing on its bulky front limbs and more quadrupedal, then it would look kind of like a rhino, which I think is what the design was going for. So I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity. It's a little better. I think it's the best of not great, because again, I really like that it finally has this like rhino horn. I think, I don't know, it just didn't really fulfill what I wanted to see. This is my list. Mega Houndoom is another example of just making it more hardcore for the sake of it. Adding to what was already a scary and imposing Pokemon. I feel like it adds detail in the right places, if that makes sense. I think base Houndoom is a very imposing design, but can be a little sparse. Like, its head is kind of like smooth outside of its horns. It doesn't have ears, so it looks bald. And I don't know, is a little boring. So I like that this one like fills in the horns and the front of its body. It looks like armor. And I like that, whereas most Megas that just get more jagged do so superfluously and look, you know, just like detail for the sake of it, this one feels like it has some kind of purpose because it looks, the jaggedness is made out of bones. I love that it's like this white, kind of pearly off-white color. It's like it's a hound from hell. I think that's great. I like that it's armor. It looks like it's ready for battle. I don't know, the more I like it, the more I realize I actually do pretty like it. I really like the armor look to it. I'm gonna contradict myself at times because it's like, at the end of the day, taste is subjective, but it's like there are times when Heracross, it's like, yeah, I want it to like lean into a certain aspect of the concept, and then times like Houndoom where I'm like, well, I don't really care that it doesn't take the obvious route here. It's like, yes, it is based off of Cerberus, the Greek dog with multiple heads, and that was a thing they could have done, but I think what they did was different and looks good. But yeah, it definitely feels like a Mega of its time, where it's like the status quo back then was to just add spikes and make it look edgy. Whereas, yeah, if this was made in Z, it probably would have a bunch of heads. But again, I don't really mind what it is. Like, for what it is, it looks good. It looks solid. I'll just say it's neutral, though. I think it's the upper end of neutral, maybe below Blastoise. There we go. All right, Skarmory is a new one. This is another one I think is very interesting. Unlike all Megas, it completely changes colors. So I like that this one adds to that very small canon of Megas where completely changes colors. There's just a wow factor, excitement to it. It feels like the base form is shiny. There's something very special about that, but it's relying too much on that, and it doesn't add enough in other areas. Like, it really just looks almost like a shiny regional variant of Skarmory or something. I don't feel like this is a Mega evolution. It's not making the Pokemon look more powerful. It's actually kind of making it look less powerful in my mind. Just think about the feet that are very clunky. Like, I can just imagine this guy like tripping over its feet. It's one of the clunkiest looking Megas. It's like actually baffling that of all the things they could have expanded, its beak, its spikes, its wings, they expanded the feet? I just don't really get it. Feels kind of like a misfire. I don't know. It's almost like I don't think it's great. I really don't. Like, the gold is not enough to save it. Expanded its wings. It's based on a condor, for God's sakes. Those birds, if you've seen them in real life, have massive wingspans. I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest. So it's like, why not just make the wings huge? I don't know. Feet, random, not great. Tyranitar, the last of the Gen 2 Megas. This one is a little weird to me. I don't like how wispy all of the tendrils on it look. I think it is a symptom of early Mega philosophy where it's just adding a lot of spikes and making it look busy, but it doesn't really respect the concept in that way because it's Tyranitar. It's made out of rocks, and it's similar to Mega Starmie with what I said. I would have liked these additions so much more if they were straight and jagged like rocks. Like, I wish they had, like, they literally just looked like jutting rocks out of its back, kind of like what Aerodactyl did. I don't like that they look ribbony, because to me they don't read as rocks. It feels in a way like flimsier than base Tyranitar, and just adding detail for the sake of it. The one thing that I actually do like about it is the implementation of the Pupitar face. It's actually like, for whatever reason, I didn't notice until like a few days ago. Missed that for like 12 years, but I like how overt it looks like Pupitar on its chest. Because again, I love when they just respect the entire concept, the entire evolution line. And this one, yeah, it's very obvious. It's not subtle at all. I don't know how I missed it. But I like its chest looks like Pupitar with the holes and the red. But again, I think what's really holding it back for me is I wish its rocky hide was straight. Like, I wish it had just like spikes coming out of it, just would look very sleek and simple in that way. I don't like that they just kind of like meander off its body and have this kind of wavy shape to it. It's an example of just not great execution. The Pupitar thing doesn't make up for the fact that its body shape doesn't change at all. It doesn't look bigger or more powerful in the slightest. Its color doesn't change. It's just kind of adding detail for the sake of it, to be honest. So I'm going to say it's not great. I think this is a good home for it. Not great. On to Gen 3. And we have starters once again, starting with Sceptile. I have always really liked this one. It's another example of adding dragon type. They do that a lot. I think it's so much more memorable when they just add like one extra color, and it's very iconic what that color is, because it's like when I think of the Mega, I can close my eyes and think of it, and I think, oh, this one adds a pop of red. The red looks so good with the screen. It complements it so well. They did the right thing here. Instead of just making it more hardcore, like they could have had a version of this where it's still front facing and just kind of like expands the size of its spikes. They instead just fully lean into the tail, and yeah, it looks like a Christmas tree. But it also looks like a needle, like a rocket or something. It's an example of like not changing a Pokemon's proportions. It doesn't change body shape at all. Well, actually, no, it does change proportions. It doesn't change its body shape, but it keeps like the base body. It just fully exaggerates one feature, and I love that. I really love that. I think it's like very simple, but very well done because it's just so memorable. Again, I can close my eyes. I can think of the tree tail, and I can think of the red, and it doesn't really need more than that. I think it's very solid. I'm going to put it in gorgeous. I mean, it's gorgeous. It really is. Next up, Blaziken. This is one that we actually got kind of early in X and Y. That was weird and random, but yeah, I mean, this one fully ditches like the chicken aesthetic and leans more into martial arts. Makes this already uncannily humanoid Pokemon even more, you wouldn't know it's based on a chicken at all. I feel like it's very neutral to me because I really don't have much to say. This one just isn't as exciting to me as Sceptile because it doesn't really change anything. It just kind of adds more features. To me, it's like Scizor. It just like changes what was already there and what was already solid. And it's like it just adds fire ribbons, but that doesn't feel unique to the concept. You know what I mean? It's like any Pokemon can add, any fire type can add fire ribbons coming out of its, what is that, its arms or something? Yeah, I think this one's just neutral. I don't know. A little cooler than Sizor. Not as cool as Houndoom to me. Neutral, it's fine. Swampert, again, an example of a body shape changing in a way that I really enjoy. I love when they change the body shape. This one is hunched over. It looks like a gorilla. I'm such a sucker for gorilla proportions. I don't know. It's very imposing. Yeah, I mean, like, that's basically it. It's very simple. It's interesting because it really is one of the only megas that leans into prioritizing changing the body shape more than adding details. It doesn't really add details. It keeps everything. It just adds, like, little orange dots on its arms, but the arms are big enough that they don't feel like crowded additions. This feels like a very sleek mega, and I like that it just kind of gets more monstrous, not by adding details, just by kind of getting buffer. I believe that this is a more powerful version of Swampert, much more physically imposing. I think it's very good. I think it's pretty solid. I don't think it's the best of the best, but I'll say I think it's a tier above Ampharos. Gardevoir. Perhaps one of the most iconic and marketed megas. We got it for free in ZA. It was Diantha's Ace in X and Y. Yeah, it doesn't really add anything. Gardevoir was already very beautiful, and its core feature was the dress. This really doesn't do anything else to the dress. It actually kind of looks the same. In a weird way, this is one of the least megas. Like, it presents itself differently. It's less like shy and removed from the situation. It's like more outwardly facing. It's like it's literally like wearing its heart on its sleeve, you know. It's like, I think it's metaphorical in that way, whereas base Gardevoir is kind of subdued. This one is supposed to look confident and aura farming. I don't know, but it's weird that it kind of relies on just changing, one, the expression has a much more determined expression, and two, the pose and the body language of the Pokemon rather than any physical details or features. It's weird because when you really break down the design, it really doesn't add or exaggerate that much more than Gardevoir already has. It's really relying on emotion more than look, which I guess makes sense for the concept. The emotion Pokemon, right? Or at least Ralts is. For that reason, I don't know, I feel pretty neutral about it because it's like, it really doesn't add much, but it still feels exciting and an evolution in its own way. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's neutral, but it's like very well done. It's like, unlike the rest of these where I actively feel underwhelmed by them, I think it's just pretty good. I'm gonna say it's neutral. It might be one of the most truly neutral ones in here. Next up is Sableye. I'm very partial to Sableye as a Pokemon, as some of you know. Because of that, try not to be too super biased here. This is another interesting one that it's not much more scary than it is just goofy. This is just the textbook example of like massively exaggerating a single feature from the base design. Almost nothing changes about the Pokemon itself other than the color of its eye changing and maybe like one more frill added to its ears, but even then I'm not sure. It looks less powerful too. It kind of has the same problem as like Mega Meganium to me. I don't believe that this is a step up in terms of its strength. It actually feels less powerful because it's using the gem as a shield. This one just feels like it's carrying a big old rock, and it feels like any old Sableye could do that if it wanted to. This one feels more like a regional variant, or I don't know, maybe even like a Gigantamax form to me. It kind of underwhelms me, or at least I find it neutral. If I compared it to Meganium, I'll put it next to Meganium. I think it's perfectly pleasant, but just kind of whatever. I don't buy it as a more powerful version of Sableye. Mawile, though, its counterpart, also exaggerates a feature. The hallmark of Sableye is its gems. The hallmark of Mawile is its mouth on the back of its head. It's a very famous yokai folktale about a woman with a mouth on the back of her head. Yeah, this one is great. It's very Little Shop of Horrors. Like, it just takes the mouth and makes the mouth more grotesque. I feel like base Mawile is very balanced. The mouth looks sleek and just kind of polite. It looks like it could chomp down on you, but like isn't trying to. It's not going out of its way to. It's more of a defense for this normally shy, simple looking Pokemon. But this one kind of increases the contrast in both ends. It makes Mawile, the Pokemon, look more refined. It has this fur on its body that looks like a dress, so it looks more feminine in the traditional sense of what we associate with femininity. And then the mouth on the back of its head goes the opposite direction and gets more feral. It adds teeth. It adds this kind of like waviness to it that Tyranitar does, but in this sense, I feel like it is very fitting. It makes it look more dangerous. And I like that contrast between it. It's very mesmerizing to look at, because you look at the mouth attached to the body and they just look so different, like they're competing identities. It's very alluring, but also terrifying at the same time. Yeah, it's not the most inspired thing ever, but it's like the top of pretty dang good. I really do think it's perfectly B+. Aggron does that thing that, for whatever reason, I'm a huge sucker for, leans over a little more. I like when they change their body shape a little bit. This one, yeah, kind of hunched over like a gorilla. Always a sucker for that, like Blastoise or Swampert, but somehow gets a little more boring, right? With like the colors and the details on the body. I think there's just nothing really exciting going on here beyond getting a little more bulky. It has the exact same colors, and in fact looks a little more muddy. The two shades of gray are even closer together than base Aggron, which I get because now it's going from rock steel to pure steel, so it's more refined to steel, but because of that, it looks kind of monochromatic, so it makes all the elements bleed together. It definitely looks, I guess, more powerful just by virtue of being bigger, but I don't really have much to say about it. It's kind of boring. I think it's either the top of not great, because I don't have any issues with it, or it's just perfectly neutral, but like the bottom of it. It's just not a mega that I ever want to go out of my way to use, purely on the basis of design. I know it helps a lot competitively. I'm going to go low end of neutral. All right, next up, Medicham. This one is similar to Alakazam, kind of plays up the uncanny human features, even throwing in some more human details. Now it has like a ribbon turban thing, totally playing up the fact that it's like a yoga guru. But because of that, it's honestly the same as Alakazam to me. It looks a little artificial. Where did it get these bandages around its head? I would have preferred if they didn't literally just give it a turban. I like its pose, I like its eyes, I like it looks a little more like enlightened. It plays up the intelligence of it, and I love megas that do that, like Malamar or Mewtwo Y, where they look like they are reaching the next stage in evolution due to enhanced intelligence rather than enhanced physical strength. That's always a plus of giving a mega to a psychic type, because you can do that. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say. I think it's like the low end of pretty solid. Manectric, I think, is genuinely one of the best upgrades that you could ever do. It's so good. Base Manectric is one of my least favorite Pokemon, purely on the basis of design. I think it's so boring. There's something so limp about it. It has muted colors, even though they're very bright pastel, and it's just kind of standing around. It looks like a dog, but like fake. I like that this one is, again, hunched over, more bulky, and actually reinforces the concept. It's based off of Raijin, the god of thunder. I think it's exactly what it needed to be. Its fur turns into a literal thunderbolt. It is very simple in that it is shaped like a thunderbolt. It goes from something very limp and just animalistic to something bulky and feral looking, but still very aerodynamic and sleek. It looks like this thing can take a hit, but is also ultra fast and ultra powerful. I honestly think this one might be peak for me. I think we can have multiple in peak. There might be more coming, but this one is genuinely, always has been, one of my favorite megas. It's so simple. It knows exactly what it wants to do, and it fully redeems base Manectric's concept. Just like Charizard, I think the only mega where I objectively prefer it to its base concept. It's not just one that is a cool enhancement to already fine Pokemon. It's one that I truly believe is better, and I wish the base Pokemon looked like this. But I will take it as a mega every time, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest, this is the first peak one to me. All right, Sharpedo is an example of one that I think is kind of grotesque. It's like Aerodactyl. It adds detail and elongation in ways that I don't think were needed. I would have much preferred extended the back of its body. Very famously, Sharpedo is half of a shark. It's a shark torpedo. It's like cut off, doesn't have a back fin. If they did that for Mega Sharpedo, it would have made so much sense to me, and I would have loved it if it finally became a complete shark. It makes no sense to me that they elongate its nose of all things. Why? The more I look at it, I guess I get it, because it looks like, I guess, like a battleship almost. That looks like the front hull of a ship. I don't know. I'm just looking at it and trying to understand. I mean, it gets, in a way, it looks, it turns from a torpedo into a full, like, boat. Like, yeah, maybe like a jet ski or some kind of, like, aerodynamic boat. I can definitely buy this thing skipping through the water. Unlike Aerodactyl, which looks clunky, this one looks very like I can believe it increases in speed. But yeah, I think this one really does come down to personal taste. I just would have preferred if they made it a longer shark. The more I look at it, the more I can appreciate it. I think it's the low end of pretty solid. I don't have a lot of issues with it. I actually think it's like cooler looking and more successful than the Psychic guys. So I'm gonna put them lower middle section of pretty solid. All right, and then its counterpart, KuroBlitz, is another one that changes body shape. You know, at this point, I'm a sucker for megas that change body shape. I don't like this one so much. This one kind of gets more like snail-like. I understand that it's a volcano and that it's the whole body then is now in service of making it look conical like a volcano leading up to the chimney on it. It to me, it just looks like a snail with a shell. Like, it looks a lot slower and less powerful than it's supposed to be. I actually think this would have been a lot more successful if they had it extend its legs, and base KuroBlitz is already kind of stubby and dopey looking. I wish this one like had long, stout legs and was built almost like, I don't know, in my mind, maybe something like Heatran, Mudsdale, like some split the difference between those two, like really bulky legs, and still like had the legs in this like outward triangle shape, if that makes sense. Like it's sprawled on all fours, leading up to a tall pyramid on its back. You could still do the necessary volcano concept without making it look like a snail. To me, I just don't like it. It looks lame to me. It looks like it's not quite goofy and it's not quite cool. I can't buy it as more powerful than base KuroBlitz. So I'm gonna say not great. But I think it's not as offensive as like Skarmory, where it's like a huge missed opportunity. Altaria, this is one that I love. I love base Altaria as a Pokemon, and this feels like it's really kind of like Gardevoir, leaning into the personality more too. Like, I feel like Altaria already was a very like cute Pokemon, but it's very neutral, the base Pokemon. Like, it has kind of a blank expression. You can't tell that it wants to be your friend. But this one, you know, it's more expressive in its face and is objectively cuter, so it's selling you on a personality change. But unlike Gardevoir, also has a massive physical change. I just think the cloud is really well done. Like, it really feels now it's like core to its design. Like, it's most of its body is a cloud. It looks very cute without being like regal. Like, it feels very accessible. I don't know why I don't sound that excited about it, because I really like it. I think it's pretty gorgeous. I think it's an example of like not the most inspired thing. It's like, yeah, it was already a cute bird made out of clouds, and they just enhanced that. But I think the execution of it just looks very solid. Right below Gengar. It's pretty dang good. I like it. Banette is another one that I begrudgingly have to admit I really like. This one really creeps me out. It reminds me of like Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas. There's something about it that's really unsettling to me, like the fact that its hands unzip and then you have these little like claws inside of it that are like spilling out like guts. It's selling me on a vibe, a personality. In this case, it really does make my skin crawl. It looks really creepy, and I think this Sugimori rendering in specific is really nice. The way the shadow is cast up at it, classic horror trope. It looks like you're looking up at it and casting a flashlight in its face in the dark. Very like puppet-like. I think every detail that it adds is not just detail for the sake of detail, but detail in service of the design. It has this kind of like clown jester hat. All the golden features are like the zippers, where you can literally see its body unzipping. So it feels the most physically sound Mega in many ways. Like, everything that is here, you can tell what it does. Whereas a lot of the other ones, it's like, okay, it's just spikes, but how do the spikes actually help it out? And this one just feels like there's more to come as well. There's more that we are not seeing it. It's that unknowability that is frightening. You're seeing a little bit spill out of the body, these red tendrils, but how much longer could they be? We don't know. I almost feel like it could be kind of one of those like magic bag situations where like it's infinitely huge on the inside and like you could just keep pulling it out and it'll come out, you know what I mean? It's like, it's very alluring in that way. It really does freak me out, but I think it is incredibly successful. I'm even gonna put it above Gengar and Altaria. I think it's one of the most successful Megas. Mega Absol, of course. It's adding nothing but soft features. It is really selling you on an angelic look. Totally ditches like the original Pokemon's like horn thing. This thing is just gorgeous. It's like really trying to convey what its base concept has in lore, but doesn't necessarily get across in the design. I think largely because of that horn. It does look kind of scary. It's totally easy to understand why this Pokemon, is misunderstood and feared. But this one feels like it is totally going in the opposite direction. This is what the Pokemon wishes it looked like. This is how it wishes it could portray itself around people at all times to make them trust and love it. And I don't know, I almost feel like the storytelling in this Mega is very powerful in that way. It feels very like this is the purest representation of Absol's essence. It is a Pokemon that doesn't cause disasters, but warns people of them. It's literally a guardian angel. It's a very pure representation of this Pokemon's soul. And yeah, I think it's just visually very well done. I'm going to say this is peak. For now, this is the best Mega. I mean, it's just something very powerful about it. On to Glalie, a very infamous Mega, because I think this is the one that really alerted people to something that I think especially ORAS was trying to get across. Maybe X and Y too. Less in ZA, they really downplayed it there, but the fact that Megas physically cause the Pokemon pain at all times by virtue of physically being a Mega. Like, the power of Mega Evolution is physically destructive to their bodies. And I think a lot of people were turned off by Glalie because of that. There's something very grotesque about it. There's something you want to look away. It feels like gore. Like its jaws split open. It is. But I think it helps that this Pokemon is so inanimate. It looks like, to me, like a cracked open like walnut or like geode, more so than like a skull. So I don't read it as like disturbing. I've never found it like that upsetting. It's suggesting more danger than it's showing. Like, I like that it has like this permanently agape jaw. It's like, what could it emit from its open mouth? It's like, is it just like a frost breath that could freeze you to death, or is it gonna scream at you? I don't know. It's like hard to tell, but it feels very threatening. I just think it's very solid. I don't have all too much else to say. I don't think it's like the coolest thing in the world, but it's pretty good. I think it also just like helps that it's gorgeously rendered. It has all the right features that you want. When ice or mineral is depicted, it just looks good. Simple as that. And I think that helps out a lot. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about design. Salamence. This is another iconic one. So iconic that they just like ran back the concept with Paradox Roaring Moon. But this one is like the ultimate example of a memorable silhouette. I think it's the most exaggerated that a Mega looks, with like one simple feature, without looking goofy, unlike Victory Bell or Sableye that just expand one body part. This one does so in a way where it looks really cool. It doesn't read as goofy at all. And I think there's a world where it does look kind of goofy, and it almost does. It's not the most threatening thing in the world. There's something very otherworldly about it. You know that it can't flap its wings. Like, this is more like a comet or like a spaceship than it is like a dragon with flapping wings in the conventional sense. So there's something that feels very elevated about it. You're looking at this crescent saucer that it has, and you realize like it just flies in a way that is completely opposite of anything in the real world. I like it. I don't think it's one of the best. I think it's pretty solid though, and I think the silhouette adds a lot. Again, I'm a huge proponent of Pokemon silhouettes are a huge indicator of its success. If it has a memorable silhouette, it's in part a successful design. So I'm going to say pretty solid. Mega Metagross, really cool. It's weird because it doesn't look more scary. Like it feels like Metagross is one of the most challenging Pokemon to make a Mega for, because it already kind of has the level of physical detail of a Mega in its base design, and already it's really pushing the limits of what a Pokemon can be. It literally just looks like a robot. I've always found it very just alien and shocking as a Pokemon design. So literally, I think they smartly assessed their options when they made a Mega to this guy. And like, seriously, there is no world where you can add detail to it. Not even a little bit. So the only thing they did really is just change the body plan. Like, just flip the orientation of the limbs. It's more like Gardevoir in that way. Like, it's not really adding any detail. It's just kind of like a personality change. Instead of standing on its legs and looking sturdy and scary, it's now looking like it's rushing towards you. It's a very dynamic design. The way it's floating, the way the limbs are pointed at you, it's very threatening. But again, if you really break down the design, it's not really adding anything. And I think there's something very cool about that. So I don't think it's like quite the most gorgeous or inspired thing, because I really feel like it's hard to really upgrade the allure of base Metagross, but I think it's pretty solid. I'm going to put it right towards the middle of pretty solid. These feel neutral to me. to be honest. I think, again, I'm always a sucker for a color change. I like the color change is inspired because it's like meeting halfway, it's purple, so they look identical. But therein lies the flaw. They look identical. They're not memorable at all. I don't know which is which. I'm looking at them now. I don't know which is Latios and which is Latias. They almost look more muted than the base Pokemon. I don't know. These are like pure neutral to me. I have nothing to say about these guys. I'm just gonna put them in neutral, like literally right in the middle. I don't know. I'm gonna rank the Primal Duo. Yes, they are basically Megas. The base designs almost felt incomplete at the time, in the sense that like they have these like weird ridges on them, like in Groudon's case it's black lines, and Kyogre it's make them glowy, and I think it's really cool. I think it's like it gives the Pokemon, same as Steelix, like this very just like legendary aura about it. It just physically looks nice. Like the rendering, like how they make the glow bits on its body glow, it looks really good. I like the slight hue differences to complement the blue and the red respectively, but I like that they're a very cohesive pair. They do the exact same thing to the Pokemon, but it makes them look, yeah, super ancient, super godlike, almost putting them on the tier where they should have been in the first place. And yeah, I just think it's very complete additions, very just gorgeous looking. I'm gonna say, if I'm gonna put them near Steelix, well, I don't know. The thing is, they don't change the body that much, and they didn't really need to, because it's a legendary. They're already very over designed, well designed, I guess. But yeah, I'll put them at the bottom of gorgeous. I mean, like, they're good looking. Rayquaza, the most broken Mega of all time, doesn't even need a stone to Mega Evolve. That's besides the point today. This thing is insane. The ultimate example of making a Pokemon have an insane amount of detail. Really takes it to the max, but it's like, I think they knew this was their one license to do that. Basically make the most broken Mega of all time. And it goes to the max in every single category. It's like Pinsir in that way. Like literally think of a feature that Rayquaza has. This expands that. It even adds more color. I mean, like it has this kind of like glowy chain looking thing flowing off of it at 3 different points on its body. It's very overwhelming to look at, but it's a legendary Pokemon. I think it has the license to be. I think it's just objectively beautiful. I think it's the only time you can say a overwhelming design is warranted. I don't think it's quite peak. I really don't. I don't even find them as exciting as the Charizards, but it's a hair above Steelix. It's really just one of the most mesmerizing Pokemon to look at. It's unlike anything else, and unlike Eternatus or something like that, even Kyurem, Black and White Kyurem, especially at the fusions, this is the most detail a Pokemon has ever had while still looking accessible. You can still feel like you can tame this thing. It doesn't just look like a monster. It looks like an intelligent, regal god. I respect it. Lopunny must have been racking their brains, because base Lopunny is borderline inappropriate for Pokemon. It's literally based on a Playboy bunny, objectively made to be sexy and alluring. And you know, I can see why that alienates a lot of people. I think Lopunny's very cute. This one kind of goes in the other direction. Instead of sexualizing it more, makes it look aerobic. I don't know if that's the right term. Like it looks like it's doing a workout. I think that was the right move. Makes it look like it has more fighting prowess. It's kind of like Mewtwo in that way, like Mega Mewtwo X, like just adds the right amount of detail to show that it's muscular and you can believe that it's athletic and more capable than base Lopunny. I think there's details that I don't love so much. I think, yeah, I guess like the ripped tights looks a little too humanoid, and like they were trying to keep some elements of the base design that they just didn't need to do. I think they should have leaned into something more original. Like you can just make the whole body without that black accent. It looks too artificial. The braid hair looks really good. I do, and I think it's just a very dynamic Mega. I feel like Lopunny, honestly, in 3D is a weird, awkward looking Pokemon, the way it's upright and kind of has pin legs, and its sprite looks a lot better. But I think Mega Lopunny just looks a lot more comfortable, like the way it's bouncing around and is dynamic and has all these kind of moving features like punching limbs and the braided hair. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty good. I don't think it's the best thing in the world. I think it's pretty solid. I would put it above the Psychic Duo, which have clunky elements. I'll put it right there. Garchomp. This one is one that, to be honest, I am fully guilty of cherry picking as an example of what I don't like in a Mega. It takes a Pokemon that was already super over-designed. Not even over-designed, just like appropriately designed, like Metagross. It's a pseudo-legendary. I mean, either statistically or design-wise needs any kind of upgrade. It really is pushing the limit of what a Pokemon can be. It's already a very monstrous Pokemon. This one just goes overboard. It throws these like teeth spikes on its chest. Both arms are saws, for God's sake. Its head somehow looks like less cool. It looks clunky. It looks like it has a lumpy head. I don't really think it works. I think it's just too much. The sum of all of it amounts to something that's less cool than base Gengar. Yeah, it's ugly. It's ugly and it's overdesigned. I'm sorry, I don't like it. I really don't like it. So I'm gonna say I really don't like it. It's not great. Lucario, another one of the more iconic and marketed megas, we'll say. It's very cool. I like how regal it looks. I say that word a lot today, but I think this one earns it. It looks regal, but in a very like independent way. Like it's not trying to be pretty, but it looks like it's like wearing a scarf or something with these like kind of like tendrils coming out of the back of its head. It looks like it's built for cold weather and can take a hit. I don't know. I think it's a little too muted for my taste. I think it would be more exciting to me if it like had more of a pop of color. I understand it adds more colors with the red, but it's so muted. It looks just rusty. And I get it. It's like kind of humble. It's like humble compared to a lot of the other flashy megas. It just doesn't really excite me. Doesn't love it, but I will admit it is very gorgeous. I don't think it's the most inspired, but it is gorgeous. And that's what this tier is for. So I will put it in here somewhere. All right, Abomasnow, another one that I'm a sucker for just because it's hunched over. I love when they are hunched over. They look like gorillas. It's cool. It's two front paws on the ground. Not even its legs, but like just like these back like fins almost, or like leaping out of its body. It literally looks like it's like exploding. There's another world where they make this just look like a really tall tree or something, but I like that they made this more like a snowball, or like it looks like a living avalanche. It just looks very like, again, it has a very kinetic design. It's like bursting outwards. So I'm gonna say this one is pretty solid, I think. I really enjoy the visual language of it. I don't have all too much else to say. It's bordering on neutral, but it's a handsome guy. Pretty cool. But at the bottom of pretty solid. Gallade is gorgeous. Definitely going in that tier. I'm trying to even weigh if it's peak. I don't think it's quite peak. It's close to that. It's oh man. I love the asymmetry of it. I love that one arm is holding a cape and the other has the sword thing. I think that off balance makes it look so much more interesting than something like Garchomp or Scizor, where both limbs are like the same. You know what I mean? Like you can really believe that this Pokemon would switch its dominant side depending on whether it's attacking or defending. And I think there's a lot of imagination in that, with of course the cape not just being for fighting. It just looks beautiful. It looks like, yeah, I mean, almost celebrating the whole family. It's not just Gallade, it's Gardevoir, Kirlia, and Ralts. Like it's looking a little humble, a little leaning into that theme of beauty, and I don't know, I really like it. I'm gonna say this one is gorgeous and pretty damn gorgeous. I think it's one of the best. I really think it's one of the best designs. I will put it, as of right now, top 5. New one here, Frostlass, basically just like goes Rapunzel mode and like develops this icy tower that it inhabits, looking down at you like the ice queen that it is. I think that's pretty neat conceptually. I definitely get what they're going for. It was already kind of a regal, divine, feminine Pokemon, and now it's like truly embodying that, because it's not just at your level, it's above you. You are subservient to it because you have to look up at it. I think there's definitely some power in that. But in terms of like when you zoom in close in the details, I don't think that interesting. Yeah, I think my issue with it is that none of the features are that different. Yeah, it looks a little more like Oni-like it has more horns. It has 2 horns, I guess. And then, I mean, that's about it. It just doesn't really change the vibe all that much beyond the height. It really just spaghettifies every feature, which makes its arms a little longer and its torso a lot longer. And I think the concept is cooler than the execution, but I think they balance each other out, and it amounts to something that is above average, but just not the most exciting thing in the world to me. Yeah, I don't know. The proportions honestly really do ruin it for me. I wish it had more of like a flurry look to it. Like if it looked like Steelix and kind of had like ice or snow like encircling it almost, it would look more dynamic, but as of now it just looks like stretched out. It doesn't look as cool as the concept would have you believe. So it's like neutral for me. It's neutral for me. Emboar. This is one that I'm not that familiar with because I didn't pick Emboar as my starter. And it's the one you hear the least about. I feel like people hate for Alligator. At least think Meganium is pretty cute, but this one, like, gets no buzz. I get why. It's very expected. It's another one of those megas like Kangaskhan where it's like, well, there's only one thing you really could do is like lean in more into the warrior aesthetic. I think it's just perfectly solid. I think the fire sword and like the armor looks good, but it's just like more of Embor. It already had a very detailed armor plating kind of thing going on, and this just like extends the shoulders a little bit. Doesn't really add all that much, and honestly it feels a little too humanoid for me. Again, I keep going back to the gorilla proportions. I think that's always a strength for megas when they are so bulky that they're hunched over. And I think this mega would have benefited a lot from that, especially because it's based on a pig. Like, make one of its arms bigger and have it be like leaning forward on its arm. And then it would have kind of like a striking pose with the sword rather than just standing around neutrally. Standing like a dude. It just looks like a sumo wrestler or something. So yeah, there's a lot of details here, and I think they are all very in service of a very good, tight design, but I just wish it did other things better. It's perfectly solid. It's perfectly solid. I don't have issues with it. A lot of the stuff here is like blah, so I don't really know where it goes. I think I'll put you right there. Excadrill. This is a very complicated one for me. I really wanted to like this one. The more I looked at it, the less I liked it. It's an example of like adding a lot of features and extending a part of its body, which I like. It's exactly what I wanted like Scizor to be honest. Just like going really hard with like extending the drill bits on its face and both of its limbs, and then they come together. It like leans forward, puts them all together, and it turns into a literal drill. It's very clever. It's like Banette in that way. You can tell what it is, what all of its components amount to physically. There's a great sense of physicality to it, but at the same time, I don't think the actual body changes enough to reinforce these, if that makes sense. I understand you want the drill to be like bigger than the body because that's the whole point. It turns into a living drill. It doesn't work if the whole body can't fit in the drill, but it doesn't look bulky enough. It looks just kind of like a fatter Excadrill, to be honest. It looks less athletic and like less cool, and it feels like it can't really support the weight of what it's carrying. I don't buy the physical change. Like Blastoise, for example, like gains a lot of musculature to earn the cannon on its back because it can literally support its weight. I don't think Excadrill can do that. It looks like its head would like nod down because it can't support the weight. It looks like its line of sight, it would constantly just be bumping into itself. It just looks kind of clumsy. And it's like, again, I really respect the concept, but it's an example of not amazing execution. I can't really verbalize what I wish they did differently. Just maybe change the body a bit more. I don't know. It's like Heracross in that way. It's like, I love the concept, but it's not great. Audino is lovely. It's a mega that I don't think about that much. I didn't really see it in ZA, and I forgot it existed for a while. For a while, it was the only Gen 5 mega. Huge outlier. I keep coming back to, like, Pokemon like this deserve a mega 10 times more than Garchomp. I'm sorry. I like that it's so different, too. It honestly looks more like a regional form, or even like a standard evolution. Like, it's hard to believe that this is Audino, because it adds detail to every single part of its body, much like Pinsir in that way. But it doesn't look overwhelming at all. It actually just amounts to the right amount of detail. I think base Audino is actually kind of boring and missing a little bit. This just brings it to the level it needed to be at. And this like creamy pink-white color is incredibly unique for Pokemon. Not only for a regional form to change color like this, but for a Pokemon to have this color at all is really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna say sneakily, this is gorgeous. It's very pleasing. It's, you know, obviously not really going to be anyone's favorite mega just by virtue of the Pokemon that it is, but I think it fully completes Audino in a very necessary way, and I love it. I really do. Scolipede is one that is very disjointed to me. I do not at all understand what they were going for. It feels like a mishmash of many different ideas that all amount to a cluttered mess, and much like Excadrill, just looks physically awkward. Like, it looks kind of like horse-like and also like ram-like with giant horns, and also has this like kind of steel-like plate of armor, but also the horns are like glowing, and not in a toxic way, more like a Paradox Pokemon. They look just like futuristic and neon. So it's like, yes, I see the vision if they stuck with like one thing. If they just leaned into the neon and made it look like a toxic predator, or made it look like an armored horse, got rid of the giant horns and just built out the armor, kept the body shape. But it's like a lot of things are competing for attention here, and it just looks very over-designed. I don't think it warrants the colors that it has. It doesn't need them to be cool. Again, if it had like half the concept that it did, I would like it so much more. It's just textbook over-designed. I think not great. Yeah, right there, not great. Scrafty. Another one where I completely understand what they're going for. They gave it clothes because that's the concept. It wears baggy skin like a hip-hop dancer with sagging clothes. Why is it all white though? It looks very plain in that way. I think white was a huge misfire. Give it literally any other color. I don't know. I'm not the authority on streetwear. It feels almost like less cool than Scrafty, because it's like it's literally covering up a lot of the cool features of Scrafty, like the kind of jagged tail thing and the mohawk, of course. Like it literally just feels like a little guy wearing white clothes. So it's like I totally understand the concept, rock solid concept. It doesn't feel that exciting. It's like camera ups in that way. It just like it looks physically like just subdued. So I'll put it right next to camera up. Electros is very clever. It looks like those Japanese like paper lantern things that actually I think Gyarados and Magikarp are actually based on. You know, it's kind of like blowing in the wind. It makes sense for a Pokemon that has levitate and canonically can float. A little over-designed. It didn't need all the glowy bits. It's kind of like Scolipede in that way. It's just getting a little too zealous with the design, when I think it would have been better if they stuck with like a little more minimalism, because I love the change in the body shape. And I love that it literally looks like it has like an army of like its pre-evolutions. I love when it references the pre-evolutions, and the white color and the shape of its kind of new floaty tendrils looks like floating electrics or dynamos. So yeah, it's just a very distracting design, and there's individual details in there that I love. Like I love that each of its two main tendril fists have the positive and negative charge, because it's an electric type. Of course it does. It's just, yeah, it's a little too overzealous. Same exact deal as Scolipede, but I think it's actually a lot less overwhelming than Scolipede. I'm going to put it in the bottom of neutral. It's, yeah, it's fine. Chandelure, this one's going to be very quick. I am very disappointed by this design, because it literally just feels like keeping every single detail of Chandelure and just doubling it. Doubling the number of Chandelure arms. You know, it's exactly what you would expect in a way that to me feels very disappointing, because it's like, I was not at all surprised when I saw this. It's like, yeah, of course it just turns into a more ornate chandelier. I just wish they like switched up like either the color or like just go crazy with the flames, have them billowing out, or like change like the shape of the chandelier. So many possible shapes for a chandelier. Yeah, this one just really disappointed me, because I love base chandelier so much, and I feel like this adds absolutely nothing. It literally just adds more arms. It's not offensive at all. I'm just gonna say not great. It really is just kind of like, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna say like bottom of neutral. It's actually so offensively boring. I'm gonna put it at the top of not great. Chestnut is one that I love. Chestnut, I really love. It's wish fulfillment for base Chestnut. It really leans into the whole like paladin knight trope. I think the color choice is excellent here. It's a very like regal color palette. Feels very mature. It's like this wine red and olive green. Like the dark colors work. Unlike Scolipede or something like that, where it just goes crazy with like brighter saturated colors, I think they chose a very mature color palette here, and I feel like the color actually takes it a long way. I mean, what it adds is pretty cool too. It adds, you know, a little bit of it's a little more encloaked in the armor, but it doesn't look like super bulky. It doesn't look like it's weighing it down. It looks like it's built perfectly for the amount of armor it has. It just, everything about it feels very appropriate. So I'm going to say either the top of pretty solid or like low. I think purely because of the colors, it's actually low gorgeous. It's really gorgeous. Delphox, all right, I've actually been reserving peak for some certain things all along, to be honest, now that I really think about it. And Delphox is just, it might be there. Delphox is pure wish fulfillment of like what base Delphox, the promise of base Delphox, what I think a lot of people wanted, this kind of ragged, wild witch with like billowing elements, floats. It has these brooms and this fire. You know, it has the kinetic element of Steelix and Rayquaza, swirling element. You look at it, you can see how it would be in motion. It feels like it's commanding an army almost. And it's not at all over designed. I think it's a very restrained color palette. With all three of the Kalos Megas, they nailed the color palettes. These are just truly excellent. Yeah, Delphox, base Delphox, to be fully honest, has always been one of my favorite starters. And I like that they just bulkify it here. It's a little less humanoid, a little more detailed, has darker colors. It has everything that I think people wanted from Delphox all along, but it's perfectly appropriate as a mega. Yeah, I'm gonna say this is peak. It truly is peak. Greninja is kind of weird. It literally looks flipped upside down. There are better ways to do that. Like it could have been hanging on to the star if it was gonna float, like maybe with its arm or something, or like a rope made of water or something. I don't know, like a ninja actually would. It literally, I get it's a frog, it can cling to surfaces, but it looks weird. The fact that it's like literally upside down. It's kind of like Sableye in the way too, where it just exaggerates one detail. It's not even part of the Pokemon's body, and in that it actually makes the Pokemon look kind of weaker because it takes away the focus from the body, which stays basically the same except for a color change, which I'll admit is a great color change, but it's just kind of floating upside down. I don't think it's great. I really don't think it's great. Where is it? I think it's like honestly kind of awkward looking, so I'm gonna put it like between Skarmory and Dragonite. Rounding out the list here, we have another one I absolutely do not like, Pyroar. I get it. They wanted to combine the mains of the male and the female versions, and it's clever in the concept because the base male Pyroar references the Japanese character for fire, and I think this represents another character which is a little more detailed and represents like a stronger version of that, like Inferno or something like that. But it's a total flop. It looks just awkward. Like it can't. I know it's hair. It's not that heavy, but it looks like it can't support the weight of it. And the fact that literally nothing changes besides the mane, the hair, makes it look so like underwhelming, because it's like the one thing that changed looks kind of ugly. It looks just like a bad hairdo. The rest of it is exactly the same. So it's like, what do you have to look forward to? Nothing. For Alligator's better in that it at least looks cool when it like comes together. Pyroar just never looks good. So second worst mega. Floette is also suffering from the Sableye and Greninja problem of like the Pokemon itself doesn't change at all, but the feature that it carries does. And this one is made even more awkward. It's kind of like attached to the flower. It's like an umbilical cord or something. It looks kind of unpleasant and weird. I get it's like a plant, so it's like rooted in that way. Like I wish it was disconnected from the flower and they put all the emphasis on the flower if that's what they wanted to do. But the problem is it's just like an uglier flower that it's like attached to, and then the base Pokemon doesn't change at all. Doesn't really excite me. The execution is not great here, so I'm gonna say not great. It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, we'll put it right there. Mega Malamar, fan favorite, deservedly so. Gorgeous colors. It's one of the only times that a Mega really gets away with like going the oversaturated route with like neon colors, but this is deserved. It's a psychic Pokemon, has the psychic energy. It looks almost futuristic. It's very elevated. Every part of it is detailed with purpose. I don't really get why the tentacles are so wispy. I just guess because squids in real life do have wispy long tentacles, but I like that the cape is pronounced because it's based on a vampire squid. I like obviously the markings on the head is because it's meant to look like an exposed enlarged brain, classic sci-fi trope. I like that the body has, again, this like neon glow to it, this gradient that you never really see in Pokemon, but it's because this this Pokemon is bursting with psychic energy, looks very energized in that way, deserving of the power of a Mega. You can tell like this thing is really enhanced. And I also like that the slender body both looks like a squid and also like looks like a pen because it shoots ink because it's a squid. So it really feels like every single detail here has purpose, and it amounts to something really iconic. Everything is working here. It's really one of the best Megas. Yeah, I'd put it really high. I'd put it, yeah, right there. Gorgeous and inspired. Barbarical. Very unsettling. It's like Banette. I want to not like it because it freaks me out. I think I get it. It's like, a bunch of barnacles sprouting from a rock. Why they made it look so like peacock-like, like all the barnacles are kind of symmetrical and in this like flowy arc shape, I don't really get. It looks almost more like, it looks kind of like psychic to me. It reminds me of like, I don't know, like in like the Marvel movies when like Doctor Strange kind of does this move where he like extends his limbs and like multiplies them. It looks very otherworldly. Like it turns something that is very much based on our world, like barnacles. A bunch of them stick to rocks and it makes it look freaky and kind of elevated. It looks very alien. So I like that they leaned into how disturbing this thing is. Like, it really does freak me out. It's very successful. I don't think it's like my favorite thing ever. I don't think it has quite the aura that some of these other ones do, but I'll put it right there. I'll put it right there towards the top of pretty solid. You can't be mad at me for that. Dragalge is one that I really wanted to like, because I really like Dragalge as a Pokemon, but I just can't really like this one because I don't understand the choices behind it. It looks like it's adding this huge purple cape. Why is it so purple and so saturated? I guess because it's toxic, but it just feels like it's based off of kelp, and you could do so many other things. Like, I don't know, I would have like elongated all the limbs and like made it turn into a true like kelp forest, instead of just adding these random like cape behind it that doesn't even really look like kelp. And it feels like the same problem as Scolipede, Electros, where it's just like adding saturation and kind of just color for the sake of it. It looks too zealous. It looks artificiality for the sake of it, trying to make it look uncanny and powerful without really earning it. It's just not a direction I would have gone in at all. I don't really like it. I don't think it's great. Again, it's not that offensive. It's just like, I don't like it. All right, Mega Hawlucha here is very cool. I like that they made it look so inaccessible. Like, its eyes are glowing now. It looks scary. It really does. It looks like, again, that thing that Megas should have, where it's like, it feels like it's imbued with power. It feels like it's overflowing with power. You can tell from its expression, the glowing eyes. And I like that it keeps the main colors of Hawlucha, not really adding anything in that way. It's very ornate, but it's ornate with purpose because it's meant to look kind of like Aztec clothing, I suppose, or like wrestler's garb. Yeah, I mean, everything here has purpose. I don't know. I don't think it's my favorite thing in the world. I can't really verbalize why, but it's pretty good. Put it in pretty solid. The legend himself, Mega Zygarde, turns into a massive cannon, just an overboard design. This is another one like Rayquaza where you have your license here to just go nuts, but it's like the only time you can do that because it's a legendary Pokemon. It's hard to expand much more on 100% Zygarde. I'm shocked that they did. I honestly thought they were gonna like retcon 100% Zygarde as a Mega, to be honest. Shocked they added one more form for this guy. But yeah, unlike Rayquaza, it doesn't look as sleek. It looks very disjointed. It's like just a dude holding a cannon. Yeah, I feel very neutral on it. It's like, I totally understand. They've licensed it whatever they want. It's a legendary. It just doesn't have the aura that Rayquaza have. I don't feel a sense of reverence for it. It just feels kind of like, doesn't feel godlike. It just feels more like big and impressive, but not that impressive. Another legendary, Diancie. This one is gorgeous. I mean, this is like, you know, I think because this one is so good, it made me disappointed in Chandelure. This one looks like a beautiful chandelier and also a ball gown. Truly just a pretty Pokemon. Like this, again, I'm a sucker for this pastel pink. The gems look lovely. Just, again, we're judging the designs. The rendering of the gems look beautiful. And I love the symmetricality of it. It just looks perfect. It looks like it was made to be perfect. To be honest, I think this is our final addition to Peak and 4 Peak Pokemon, and this is certainly one of them. I think it might be the second best Mega in existence. It's really that good. All right, well, Drampa here is cool because it kind of reverses the concept of base Drampa, making it look a lot more scary, but not in like a mean way. It just looks like an Eastern dragon, like that you don't want to mess with. It's not like your friend. It's not a grandpa anymore. It's like very imposing, but in a way that I respect. And it feels very appropriate for the concept. It's very unique for Pokemon. It really looks just like an Eastern dragon, like something you'd see in an old storybook. Again, I think it has this weird problem. It's hard to tell, but it has these interesting like neon undertones. A lot of the new Megas do. I don't really know why. It feels a little superfluous. I would like it more if it was just held back and had the mint green and the charcoal gray, and that was it. Yeah, it's definitely one of the better ones from ZA. I think it's pretty dang solid. I wish I was more excited about it, but I like it. I like it. I'll put it right in pretty solid. And the final Mega that we are ranking today, Mega Phalanx. It's another goofy design. It's like exactly what you'd expect, is them to combine to make one single warrior rather than a phalanx formation of individual warriors. Not unexpected at all. I think it looks a little clunky. Like, it does not at all have the regality of Mega Gallade. It's like straddling a line between Goofy and Regal. Like, it wants your respect, but it doesn't have it because it's still cute and goofy. And it's not even believably cute and goofy because I think it looks very disproportionate. It's awkward and weird that I get why they did it, but it's weird that the 2 ones in the leg shrink down, or the one in the body shrinks up. It looks very disproportionate. And the fact that like they're all disconnected rather than like cleverly clinging onto each other, like I don't really enjoy how its 2 arms are fully disconnected and just kind of floating there. It feels just very physically impossible, because I don't believe that this Pokemon has the psychic ability to like make its limbs float detached like that. So it feels very unbelievable to me. It feels like they really wanted a goofy Pokemon, but it's not goofy enough to be endearing, and it's not imposing enough to demand your respect. I think it's in a weird limbo. I think it's neutral. I don't think it's offensive at all. I just don't love it. Right in the middle. And with that, we did it. That is all 70-something Mega Pokemon ranked. We'll do this again for Mega Dimensions. I'm sure we'll get at least 10 or 20 new Megas there. Can't wait for that. But boy, am I tired. This was a hell of a list. Thank you all for sticking with me. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for partaking. And hopefully you agree with my takes on Megas. Yell at me in the comments if you disagree. Let's look forward to the next batch of Megas. Mega Dimensions in a month. And I will see y'all later.